Hi, everyone. Welcome to episode 3 of the Young People's Money podcast. I am your host, Liana Chow. With this podcast, I aim to normalize having open and honest conversations about money amongst young people, which is important because at the end of the day, it's how our world goes round. Today, our guest is actually one of my clients from the gym and also one of my dearest friends, Alina. Thanks for joining me on this podcast today.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Leanna. It's so nice to be here. Thank you for having me, and I'm really excited to jump into the conversation today.
Yeah, of course. So let's hop right into it. So we always start off with question number one. How did you grow up and what was your family's relationship with money like?
Yeah, so my family and we moved to the United States from Pakistan when I was really little. I was like about 9 years old, so like in third grade. And at that time, so back in Pakistan, we actually had like a lot of money. Like we lived a very good, decent life. Back home, we had like someone who came to our house to do like laundry, and we had a cook, we had a
Oh, wow.
driver, we had like everything done for us. So it was a little bit of a change when we came here because you have to do everything yourself,
Mm-hmm.
right? So the first couple of years, like things were really going good with my dad business. All of us came on a visa. So when you're on a visa, you can't exactly work.
Mm-hmm.
So my dad was the only one who was working, and the first couple of years went really great. And then things after that started to be a little bit more down. So we had like a lot of like ups and downs. And I have two older brothers and one older sister, and my dad being the only one working, put us through college. And for two of my siblings, my dad actually paid like the international fees for their
Mm-hmm.
college
Oh, that's
tuition.
expensive.
Yes, that is like three times as much than like the regular fees. So my dad had to pay,
Holy shit.
yeah, so my dad had to pay that. So he worked really, really hard. I wouldn't say, we don't have the same lifestyle that we had back home. It's been tough. And for instance, like my parents never buy anything for themselves. Everything always went into like the tuition and like the bills and rent, or like groceries. So all of us have had to work like really, really hard and try to have like kind of side jobs when we weren't exactly like able to go out there and get like those regular jobs because our status was like like we had like a visa status.
Yeah, absolutely. And like coming from an Asian family myself as well, like I know like how important education is to our parents. And like so hearing that your dad just like busted his ass just to pay for tuition for all of you guys and made sure that you guys have a good education, like that really resonates.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
So he paid like all of it out of pocket,
Yes, all of it out of pocket,
no loans.
no loans at all.
Holy
And
shit.
then for my siblings, so two of my siblings and I, including me, so that's three of us, we did
Mm-hmm.
our masters without any loans as well.
Jesus Christ.
Yes.
Holy shit.
So my oldest brother, his company actually paid for his masters.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Oh, that's good.
yeah, and then my sister, she paid for her own. And then I paid for my own while working as well. So we never took any loans ever. So we're really fortunate about that. But yeah, it's been tough. I mean, I think that one of the toughest things is the fact that like, when you grow up, when you're born here in America, you think about like a retirement plan and like savings and all of that. And that's not exactly like the mindset that Asian families or like South Asian families specifically have like, have been taught. So like my dad, for instance, is like 65 and my mom is in her mid 50s, and there's like no savings, no retirement plan. They have to like continue. My dad has to continue to work until his body gives up. So that's like one of
Mm-hmm.
those other things that it's not over, even though
Mm-hmm.
all of us siblings are educated. Of course, like we are here to like support our parents, but it's it's like the struggle hasn't gone away. It's still here.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I can't really fathom the idea of like paying for 3 college tuitions and then also still having money left over for like retirement savings.
Mhm.
So you said that like isn't like really the norm in
Yes.
Pakistan.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, in a lot of like South Asian families, it's not really like the norm or something like
Yeah.
that hasn't been taught. I I guess it's something like something I don't know if I should say this, but, like, it's something like what white families have here, like
Uh-huh.
a retirement plan and, like, savings because you also, like, do that when you have, like, those typical, like, jobs, like, you work in the tech industry or like you have like work in the county, government, city, etc. Like you have like this retirement for 401k, etc. But like when my dad has like a handmade carpet business and he does that out of storages, like those ones where you can rent out for like $500-600 a month. So he has like all of his carpets there, and then he goes to like his customer's house and like will show them and like sell it that way. So it's not like he has a store or something. Um, and then when he does get the paycheck, it just goes straight to like rent, which is so expensive here in the Bay Area, and then like food, groceries, and trying to buy like new carpets to sell so he can sell more. Um, yeah.
Yeah, that is like the epitome of, immigrant family, like working really hard in like survival mode type of life.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Trying to make that like American
American dream.
dream come true. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So, growing up the way that you did, do you feel like you have a good relationship with money, based on like what you've seen and how your parents handled it?
I think I'm very smart about it
Mm-hmm.
in a sense of like, for instance, like I always make sure that there's enough money for emergency in my savings. So
Mm-hmm.
I will never make like this big purchase knowing that, if I spend all my money on this thing, then I'll have like $0 left in my savings or checking account. So I'm always aware of like, how much I have left in my savings and checkings, and then ask myself, okay, if I spend, 1,000 or 2,000, like a huge big purchase, then will I still be okay? So I always like am aware of that. I always keep that in mind when making like big purchases. But over a
Yeah.
relationship, I think it's been good. I do have to say I have a little bit bad habit of like checking how much I have in my bank account.
Like a lot, like overly.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not like scared that I don't have like anything. I have enough, but
Mm-hmm.
like I don't, it's just something like I don't know. I don't know. For some reason, like I don't want to check what I have in my bank account, especially when I'm buy too much in a month or so.
Oh, so you mean that you don't check enough or you check too
I
much?
I don't check enough. That's the thing.
Gotcha.
Yeah, yeah.
Gotcha. Do you think you like adopted that survival mindset from your parents a little bit? Because I definitely have, like coming from an immigrant family.
Yeah, I think a little bit. I think it also just kind of helps that like I don't have to pay rent or like bills and stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that. Or I mean I help out with like bills here and there,
Mm-hmm.
and support like in any way that I can, like going getting groceries for like the house, or maybe paying like the phone bill or like the electricity bill, like that's fine. But I also feel like maybe like I'm not in the same position as like someone like you, right? Like who has all of these responsibilities. So I don't feel very inclined to like check my bank account because I know like
Mm.
I'm okay, I'm fine. If something was to happen, I have like enough money to cover that emergency. And I'm also really aware of like, the purchases that I make.
Girl, I did not contribute to groceries when I was living at my parents' house. like like just hearing you talk about like how you,
Yeah.
chip in for the bills and everything, like I honestly was so used to like my dad just like covering everything that I didn't really think about it. And like honestly my mom got mad at me for it for a little bit. Like she was like, "You're not even like paying for any of the groceries and you're just like staying at home." And I was like, "You know what? I'm moving out of here."
Wow. So it's actually the opposite. So I pay bills without my parents knowing, or specifically my dad
Really?
knowing, because if he
What?
finds out that I paid something, he will pay me back. So
Wait, seriously?
yeah, so a couple months ago, like he was going to Pakistan, and I heard him talking on the phone about with someone about like borrowing like some like $500. And I felt really bad. So I had cash at home, so I got $500 and I give it to him, and I was like, "Here, like, you can use it. I don't need it back. Like it's fine." I mean, my dad works, he's a very, very hard worker. He works a lot, like even at an old age, and like he has health problems, like heart problems.
Mm-hmm.
So he does all that. So I felt really bad. So I give it to him. And then when he came back from Pakistan, like a couple weeks later, he's like, here's your $500. And I was like, no, I don't want it. Like, I don't need it.
Jesus.
And he
Yeah.
still like ended up giving it to me. And he's done it before too. He's like, oh, can you pay the dish bill? I'll pay you back. And I'm like, I don't want it back. Like, and then he still
Yeah.
does it. So I actually pay without him knowing.
Oh my gosh, you're such a good daughter.
Thank you.
Yeah, there is this concept in Chinese culture called filial piety, and basically it just means like you owe your parents everything, and it's like your way of paying them back in any way that you can by like being a good daughter slash son. So like if you're um, if you're like if you exhibit a lot of filial piety, then it can be in the form of like buying your parents nice things, or like paying the bills for them, or like taking care of them when they're older. And like I feel like you exhibit that like so well, and you're not even Chinese.
Wow. Yeah, no, I haven't heard of that before. But yeah, like even with my mom, like I'll like buy her like skincare stuff. Like I'm really into skincare
That's
and
so cute.
yeah, so like I'm like, okay, here's the eye cream, here's like a facial cream, or like I'll buy her like a handbag or something.
Yeah.
Or sometimes my mom tricks me into buying her. She'll like go to the store and get out these shoes and be like, "Yeah, can you get these
I
for
like
me?"
these.
Yeah, he's like, get them," and I'm like, "Fine." I mean, I just feel like this is the least I can do after like all the struggles that my parents have like gone through, not only like in terms of like pay in terms of like money, but also in terms of like the immigration status and like working, um just kind of like surviving with that like these last couple of years. So I feel like this is just kind of like the least I can do, especially when I don't pay rent or like have those big responsibilities or stress on my mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you're living at home. I mean, a lot of people say this, but you don't pay rent, but you pay in mental health.
Oh yes, yes, definitely I can say that like 100%. I don't pay rent, but I definitely 101% pay with my mental health. That's the thing.
I'm so sorry.
That's the thing with like a lot of like South Asian families. You sadly have to, yeah, go through that.
Yeah, but the thing about like white families is that some of my white friends, like their parents like make them pay rent. Like after they move back from college, they'll like charge them like $900 just to like live in their childhood bedroom. Like that is like so wild to me as an Asian. Like, have
Yeah.
you heard of that before?
Yes, I have. And I think
Yeah.
even like when a child, maybe not in all like of the white families, but like some white families, like when the child turns like 18 and goes to
They kick
college,
them out.
yeah, they're like, okay, well, now you have to figure out
Bye.
a way to like pay like tuition and all of that. Whereas like in brown families or Asian families, like it's more of like still like the parents' responsibility. Like for some reason, like at least in South Asian families, like it is their responsibility to take care of you until you're married. So
Yeah.
I am 28 years old and my mom is like, no, until you're married, you are my responsibility. Like come home at 11, pick up my phone. I want to make sure you're safe, etc.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
Yeah.
it's yeah, they're
Does it
very involved.
feel uh-huh. Does it feel like overbearing at all? Like do you want to be out on your own, or like is this okay with you?
Yeah, of course they do. I mean, I'm 28. Like I don't I'm turning 30 in like 2 years, and I would love to like have my own place and be like more independent, while I really like living at home because for instance like my mom cooks,
Mm-hmm.
or
Mm.
maybe cooking. I've been cooking lately, but like she cleans, she kind of like does laundry for me.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else. I know you guys are probably getting jealous. Um, but that's like laundry, cleaning, cooking, like all of that stuff for me. And I would say for the last like 2 years at least, when I was doing my master's, like I don't know how I would have been able to do it alone. Like chores
Yeah.
around the house and all of these responsibilities while like working and doing school full time.
Doing a fucking master's program,
Yeah,
yeah, that would have
yeah,
been insane.
yeah. exactly. So I am very grateful in that sense, but I do feel like that there is a sense of like losing my independence in terms of like I don't know what it looks like to like pay rent, like everything that goes into it, or
Hmm.
little things like that that make you like independent, like maybe financially independent or like an official adult, like when you're living on your own. And yeah, and of course I would like when you live in a South Asian families as a girl, as a woman, there are like certain like rules that you have to follow. Like we have a freaking curfew. So I could be like
Hmm.
35, and if I'm still living with my parents and unmarried, I still have a fucking curfew. Um, so like
Yeah.
a curfew, or like my mom will call me like 500 times during the day and ask me like, where are you? And like there's certain things like the way that I dress or like certain
Yeah.
way that I should present myself, because there's that like maybe you've heard of this too, like this, I don't know what to call it, like a phrase or something like what will people think?
Yeah.
I heard that a lot, like growing up. My mom would always be like, well, don't do that. What will people think? Um, so it would be nice to get away from like that mentality,
Hmm.
but there's also like that guilt, right? Because like that Asian guilt that I feel like everyone has. And I
About like not wanting to abandon your parents.
Yeah, especially like with my mom, she like doesn't drive. She doesn't speak
Oh, she
English.
doesn't?
She doesn't drive. She doesn't speak English. She
Wow.
has like health problems. She's on dialysis.
Hmm.
And so I kind of feel like a little bit obligated.
Like
I would,
responsible for that.
yeah, responsible. And like, how would I feel if I was in a country where I couldn't speak English, I couldn't drive, and if I was home like every single day, I would want to go out. I would want to like meet up with my friends. So I try to be more understanding of like taking her out to the mall or something, or dropping her off to her friend's house. And I feel like maybe if I did move out, maybe she would get like depressed. I don't know, depressed or something.
Yeah, and that all landed on you as like the youngest sibling.
Yeah, so like my oldest brother is married. He lives very close, like in Union City, about like
Hmm.
10 minutes away. My second oldest brother moved out. He's not married. And then my sister, my older sister, she lives in Canada. So she used to like help out before, like me and her would do it together or like split things off, where like sometimes she would take her to the doctor appointment, sometimes I would, or like sometimes she would take her to the
Hmm.
mall. But now that like she's gone, it's all on me. And like in our culture, like everything just kind of falls on like the woman or like the females in the family in
Hmm.
terms of like these type of things. Which really does suck.
Yeah, definitely. Like I know we were literally talking about this earlier today, but um I like as the eldest sibling in my family, like I fled. Like I was like, bye, peace out. And like
Yeah.
my sister likes to bring up the fact that like I kind of like ran away, and like
Yeah.
in the future when we're like older and our parents are like really decrepit and like need people to like wipe their asses, like
Uh,
like I'm
yeah.
gonna be nowhere to be found. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if that's like 100% true, but I feel like younger siblings definitely like feel that burden for sure.
Yeah, and I feel like it's so funny because like when you're young, when you're like 9, 10, 15 years old, the oldest has the most responsibility of like taking care of the
Yes.
parents, and then it kind of just the tables get like turned, and then it's
Hmm.
kind of like the youngest left.
It's
Like,
your turn now.
yeah, it's like now you have to take care of everything. And it's actually even more difficult because your
Hmm.
parents were younger, like 10 years
Yeah.
ago. So like my siblings didn't have to deal with like a lot of these issues that like I am handling now that like they're older.
Yeah, exactly. Well, kind of like going back to an earlier point, like in terms of adopting that survival mindset from your immigrant parents, like did it affect your career choice?
Yeah, so when I was little, if you I so I've always hated math. I was never good at and math, and we have like a hate-love relationship. At some point I did love it, like when I did algebra, and then after like trig, I was like, what is this? This is some type of like alien language. That's when the hate relationship started happening. But ever since I was young, like I was never good at math, and for some reason, like math was emphasized a lot, like in
Mm-hmm.
our household. So if
Mm-hmm.
you were not good at math, you were not considered smart.
Stupid.
Yeah, so I grew up, I kind of like half of my childhood, I grew up thinking like I'm not smart, I'm not smart, I'm not smart because I wasn't good at math. And
Hmm.
math was considered like this, like you have to be good and like you're only smart if like you know math. Um, and so I was never good at it. But I tried and tried. So when I got to college, I thought I could do computer science, which is all math. And then after
Uh-huh.
taking like one class, I decided, hell no, I am running away from this class. So I decided it wasn't for me. And by the way,
Hmm.
I actually am on a billboard. I had been on a billboard.
What?
I have, yeah, I have been on a billboard representing Alumni College. Um,
What? Oh my
yeah.
God.
So it was like at Whole Foods in Fremont and then at New Park Mall in Newark.
Okay.
Um, that mall, this was like a couple of years ago. I was on a billboard. So it was like some guy like took a picture of me in that computer science class, like me plugging in random stuff into this computer, some
Uh-huh.
wires. So that memory will be engraved in me, that computer science
Oh
class,
my God.
because it's all,
Wait.
yeah.
That is such a fun fact. You have to show me. You have to
I'll show
show
you
me
a
after
picture.
this.
I actually do have a picture.
Yeah.
I'll send it to you after. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Oh my gosh.
yeah. I can't believe it either.
No, because like the reason I laughed when you said computer science is because I fucking hate computer science. Like it makes
I
me feel so fucking dumb, and like I actually like math.
yeah, it's not that fun, really. It's yeah, I don't know how people
Yeah.
do it, but if some people love it, good for them. But it took me a while to kind of find out what I wanted, what I loved. And that ended up to be like political science, so learning about
Mm-hmm.
like the government, the structures, like how it works. um at that time it was actually 2016, and at that time Trump was president
Mm-hmm.
or became president that year. And I think, I hate to say this because I hate to give him like so much credit, but in a way, like I think that kind of what motivated me, the fact that like someone like him
Became president.
yeah, became president. And like the fact that like, you know, we let this happen. And
Mm-hmm.
I it just kind of like brought some rage inside me. I was like, instead of just like getting angry and not doing anything, why don't I study computer science and try to make a change or something?
Political science, you mean?
Yeah, political science.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that kind of got me into political science, and I realized that holy shit, like I really love this. I really love
Mm-hmm.
learning about the government and being able to make a change.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so there was this bill that came out like in early 2000s, that really affected my life a lot, like personally. And I was always like admired by the people like who worked really hard on that bill. And that
Mm-hmm.
bill did like end up passing and changed my life for the better. And so I think that kind of inspired me as well, like those people behind the scenes, like writing the bill and that type of administrative work. I think
Mm-hmm.
that's something I kind of liked. Um, so yeah, political science and government. And then I recently did my master's in public administration, and I am very, very, I actually am one of those few people who actually loved what they study, like in school.
Hell
I'm
yeah.
actually doing like work that relates to what I studied with my undergrad and specifically my master's. Um,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
yeah, but it did take me a while to like actually like it took me a while, and I had to do some work on myself to believe that I am smart. Like, the fact
Mm-hmm.
that like I'm not good at math doesn't mean that I'm not smart. It's just something that
Mm-hmm.
I was constantly like told in, when I was a child. So I had to
Yeah.
do a lot of work like on myself to get to this position.
Yeah, that's fucking badass. And you know why? You're like one of the only people who like actually liked what they studied. It's because you had the courage to be like, no, thank you, initial STEM major that I chose. I'm gonna do what I actually like. And that
Yeah.
is so freaking cool. How did your parents react though?
They were okay with it, honestly.
Yeah?
Yeah, so the thing is, my oldest sibling, he did engineering. My other
Mm.
sibling, my second oldest brother, he did like business, and then my third sibling, My sister, she did tech, so like IT, information technology. So like by the time it was my turn, they were like, okay, whatever. Like
Oh my god,
I mean, okay,
youngest sibling
they
privileges.
would not have been happy like if I did some like art or like fashion. That was like out of the question. So like I think the fact that like it's still somewhat like, I can get a job, like government
Yeah.
city type of job, they were okay with it. Um, but so I actually, yeah, I didn't have to like go through a lot with my parents, but it was like a little bit of a change to get out of that mindset of like only going into business and technology because that's all what my siblings did.
Yeah, definitely. I realize that now because, as the youngest sibling, like my sister got to pick whatever she wanted. And I was like, what the actual hell? Like the parents like lost their edge. Like
The oldest always has to be the one to break, well, I guess sometimes to break, or I guess when you're young you also do get like the benefit of the doubt. You get to get away from like a lot
yeah.
of things, and
Mhm.
it's sometimes like the oldest has to like break that pattern or like kind of be
Mhm.
the one to stand up, and then after that like it's kind of easier to get through certain things for like the other siblings.
Yeah, definitely. So for another part of this first question, you actually suggested that I include this, but I wanted to talk about money in relationships. So, growing up, you were provided for by your parents. So, is that something that is also what you're looking for in a romantic relationship as well?
Yeah, I think that's really important to me. I mean, I haven't had an easy life. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
my parents are still struggling. And when I, look at my siblings, like I see the type of life that they have, like a good house, like, like a car to drive in and like being able to live comfortably. And I do want that for myself. And I haven't had an easy life, a lot of struggles. I mean, my parents are still struggling. So I want to be with someone who's like on the same level as me,
Mm-hmm.
at least either like the same level or higher.
Mm-hmm.
I have worked very, very, very hard and have gone through a lot of struggles to get to where I am today. So it's very important to me that my future partner, uh, either makes like the same amount as me or more than that, because I do want those things like a house, a car, kids, and all of that is so goddamn expensive.
Expensive.
Yeah, especially if you want to be in the Bay Area.
Yeah.
So it is very important to me that my future partner is like educated and has like a decent job. Um, yeah.
Fuck yeah, go off. Yeah,
Yeah, and
love that.
I
You
also,
deserve that.
yeah, and okay, I don't want to sound like materialistic, but I am a high maintenance girl. Like I like to get my nails done. I go for like, those fancy facials. I buy like bougie stuff, like when it comes to clothing and like handbags. I want like luxury stuff. Like that's me.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to change my lifestyle. Like I think it's a different thing like when I want to buy a house and like I know I have to cut back on these certain things because the house is more of a priority now, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I don't want to like be like completely be like, okay, well, I don't have any money to afford like any luxury stuff or like go get my
Mm-hmm.
nails done. Like I don't want a life like that. Um,
Yeah.
I get like money priorities that kind of changes as you grow up and if you want a house, kids, etc. But I should still be able to afford like that stuff like once in a while.
Yeah. I like read somewhere that like financial disagreements, like I could be wrong, but I think I read somewhere that financial disagreements were like the number one leading cause of like divorce.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
So
I'm not
like
surprised.
it's definitely shouldn't be like underestimated. Like some people are like, "Oh, money doesn't matter as long as we
Oh
love each other,
no.
we'll like survive."
Oh no.
But it's so fucking important.
Yeah, I went on a date with this guy who said money doesn't buy happiness. And
Ew.
right there and then in my mind, I had made up the decision of saying like no to this guy because like I think people who say that already have money and I completely understand where that person's coming from. Like, yeah, technically it doesn't buy happiness, but it does like reduce a lot of that stress and those things like do make you happy. Um,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
yeah, I think that is a complete no for me. And I think in terms of relationship, having the same mindset. the same like values and then the same lifestyle. I think those three things are just really, really important and something that I look for.
Yeah, definitely. And like with the whole money doesn't buy you happiness thing, like I get what he's trying to say. Like, the best things in life are like obviously not
Yes.
monetized, you know, like love and like friendship and intimacy and stuff like that. But you need money, and like people, I feel like people like make it into something like way smaller than it actually should be.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Question number two is, what is or are your source or sources of income? What lands in your bank account monthly? We are getting really invasive now.
So I only have one source of income. That's from my job. So I work for
Hmm.
an affordable housing nonprofit organization, and I am the program manager for the community development department. I've been here for like 2.5 years now. I really love the job.
Hmm.
Um, so that is my source of income. And then what lands in my bank account monthly, that is going to be 4,400 after taxes.
After taxes. So, what
Yeah.
is your annual salary pre tax?
That is 77,400.
Gotcha.
Mhm.
So, question number three, how many hours do you work a week? Do you like your job?
I work 40 hours a week.
Mm-hmm.
And I really do love my job. I love, love, love the people that I work with. I call them like my big sisters.
Oh.
Yeah, they're very like, they know a lot about like what's happening in my life. I actually just texted them like 5, 10 minutes ago about some advice. What I was asking you for advice. I wanted to get like a second opinion. I was like, should I send that message? Should I not? So they're very much like involved in like what's happening in my personal life,
I
and I'm
love
very
that.
open and honest with them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really, I think it's so hard to find like colleagues like that
Mm-hmm.
who are just kind of so invested in you like as a person and not just like the job that you're meant to do.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I really love the people I work with. I mean, I really love the organization as well. Really great like staff, people who have like hung out with outside of work.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been a great like 2.5 years with them.
Yeah, absolutely. Is it a remote position, or you go in office sometimes, right?
Yeah, so I mostly work from home, and
Yeah.
then I have two offices, one close to Hayward in Ashland, about like 10 minutes away from my house.
Okay, cool.
And I haven't worked from there yet, but I do go into the Berkeley office about 1 to 2 times a month. And it's really nice to see like other people in person and
Mm-hmm.
just kind of introduce myself, and so people know I exist. And that like I think for the first 2 years at this job, nobody knew it existed. Because I started like in 2020,
Mm-hmm.
in that pandemic year. So yeah, nobody knew it existed until like a couple of months before when I actually started like going to the office and showing my face.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really nice. Yeah, it's really nice. And I've actually gotten like a couple of compliments with the management team about like how much of an effort I'm making to get to know other people. So it's
Oh.
nice. Yeah. And it's also nice to get to know like the work that's happening in other departments.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate to say this, we have like all staff meetings and then there's presentations and stuff, but like every single person in that all staff meeting is multitasking, looking at their like other emails, stuff like that. It's like one of those meetings where you do like catch up on like emails and stuff like that. So
Right.
it's nice when you talk to people and get to know like about their projects and work like in an informal way.
Yeah, definitely. So like pretty much everyone I've talked to who like works a salaried like 40-hour work week like
Uh-huh.
doesn't actually work 40 hours.
Yeah.
Like would you say that like your work week is like pretty filled up, or is it just like pretty sparse?
It's I love that you brought that up. I mean, technically, yeah, maybe like not 40 hours every week. I mean, I think that's kind of like the benefit of working from home, right? Like you
Yeah.
can go to the kitchen and spend like 30 minutes cooking, or like
Girl, I do that.
yeah, or like if I have to take my mom for, or if I myself have like a appointment, then I can like go out and come back. I think the most important thing is that trust between you and that
Mm-hmm.
manager, and like just you getting the work done and doing it putting in that full effort into that work and not just like,
Yeah.
skimming it and like,
Yeah.
just that. So I think as long as that happens, then there's really like not much of an issue. And there's a lot of flexibility in terms of like me being in charge of my own schedule. Like I never
Mm-hmm.
have to ask my manager, like, can I take this day off or can I take that day off? I just
Mm-hmm.
send a calendar invite or I just add it in my calendar, doctor's appointment. And if
Mm-hmm.
something comes up, I'm just like, hey, I can't make it. I have an appointment.
Yeah.
And everyone is like extremely understanding about that.
Yeah, see, that's what I like about this whole like 9 to 5 work schedule is that it's so much more flexible than if you were working like a part time, like for example, like at a store or like a restaurant or something.
Yeah.
Like you can't just like blow off a shift to like go to a doctor's appointment in that case. And like part time jobs, I find like really just like bleed you dry. Like they
Oh
really
yeah.
like want you to work like every single fucking minute, like and then like just clock out as soon as you're done. And so I like the flexibility of the 9 to 5 work week.
Yeah, and I have to say the pandemic definitely played like a huge role in this, right? Like the
Mm-hmm.
fact that like we can work online now,
Oh yeah.
having that flexibility where like there's like two, three staff that we have in our organization that actually don't even live in the Bay Area. They live,
Mm-hmm.
I think one of them lives in LA, one of them lives in DC. So or one again, another one lives like in Philadelphia. And so having that type of flexibility, I think that came um definitely after the pandemic.
Yeah.
But I think it's just, yeah, I think it's also just really important for that manager to have that type of trust
Trust. Mm-hmm.
with their employees as well.
Yeah, definitely. And like if we were all in office, like I feel like we wouldn't even be productive like 8 hours a day
Yeah.
anyway. That's not how
I
people work.
I feel the same way. Anytime I go to that office, the one, two times in a month that I do go, I feel like I'm not productive at all. I'm staring at my screen half of the time, and the other times I'm just
Socializing.
chatting and talking
Yeah.
to people. So I definitely feel like more productive at home, and it's going really well. Um, and I think it just kind of has to go both ways, like that trust and being able to get the work done. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
the employee has to kind of take that, not disrespect or take advantage of this work style.
Yeah, definitely. Question number 4. So you get your paycheck. What do you do? How do you spend your money? What's the breakdown between necessities, leisure, and savings?
Ooh, okay. Once I get my paycheck, I will try to put most of it into the savings.
Okay,
Um,
hell
so
yeah.
I so I get paid like bi-weekly.
Mm-hmm.
So I will put like most majority of it in the savings, and I just kind of make sure that I have enough for like daily stuff like gas and like food. I think that's mostly it. Gas, food. I pay like gym membership monthly for that, and then like Hulu, HBO, that type of uh TV shows, channels. um it mostly just kind of goes into that.
Mm-hmm.
um so I think I would say, yeah, I think majority of it in the savings, and then just making sure I have like 1,000 in my
Yeah.
checkings account for like these daily stuff, or if I want to buy something that I see, then I have enough. I will always like transfer majority of my money to the savings and try to only have like 1,000 or two in my checkings, because I have this fear. I'm like, if I ever get hacked, or if I like, I don't know, somehow like someone gets a hold of my credit card, then
Oh my god.
what's the most damage can they do? So I don't know why. I just have this fear. So I'm like, never, ever, ever put like that much money, have it like lying around in your checkings, but like
Mm-hmm.
let's put it in my savings where like it's safe.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, usually like 1,000. Yeah.
Okay, so most of it you're saving pretty aggressively then.
Yes, yes. But also like I also have like a 401k plan, so some
Mm-hmm.
of it goes into that.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, that's the benefit I was gonna say of like living with your parents at home is that you're able to save so aggressively. Like my sister's in the same position right now where she's able to put away like most of her biweekly paycheck into a savings account, and you guys are gonna be able to like buy your own house. Like you don't even need
Yeah.
a
At
partner to
least,
like do that shit.
yeah. Oh yeah, and at least like have enough for like a deposit.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, yeah, it's really nice not to have to like pay rent, at least like right now. So So in the future, I do have enough like to be able to buy a house. And that's the advantage of not having any loans either from like
Right.
my undergrad or grad school. So all this money actually like comes to me and goes into my savings. I mean, freaking taxes, they take a lot of
They
money.
really do. Yeah.
But other than that, I've been very fortunate to be able to like have that, to be able to save from my paycheck.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, give and take, like on the one hand you save so much money, on the other hand you have to live at home.
Yes. Live at home and pay with my mental health. Yes.
Yes, yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Um, okay, cool. So, number 5, do you have a budget?
No. No, I actually don't have a
Uh-huh.
budget. I feel like that's something I mean, I don't have a budget. I'm not planning on having a budget anytime soon. I think that's something I would do like maybe once I get into my 30s.
Mm-hmm.
I think in my
Responsible.
mental yeah, in my mental mind, I know like not to spend money on stupid shit and to be able to like put all of it into the savings.
Uh-huh.
So I'm good about that, but like budget, no, I don't.
Yeah, so you previously mentioned that you enjoy buying like luxury goods. And you have told me that you've like bought a lot of purses and like shoes and shit. So how much of your paycheck do you like set aside just for that, aside from like gas and like food and all the necessities? Like how much do you spend on like fun things,
Mm. So I think the
material girl
most,
things?
yeah. So the most that for instance, like a handbag, the most that I've spent on a handbag is probably like close to 1,000.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a couple of handbags that have come around that
Mm-hmm.
price tag. But like I don't buy like a handbag like every month. I think I go
Mm.
through like these crazy phases where like I'm like, shoot, like I see this handbag and I want it like really, really bad.
Yeah.
Um, or like I'll treat myself like after a birthday, after like I finish my graduation, after like maybe like I did something like really well at work, like I'll be like, okay, let me buy myself something. Um, so I think handbags are like once in a while. Sometimes I do go crazy and will buy like 5 handbags at once, and that ends up being like I don't know, like 2,000.
Yeah.
Um, and then for other stuff, like yeah, I mean I don't really drive as much, or I'm kind of like nearby,
Mm-hmm.
so gas it doesn't really like cost maybe like $100 a week.
Mm-hmm.
Um, or I guess the gas is a little bit down also. It's been like $80 per like week or every 2 weeks. I usually just kind of drive to the gym,
Mm-hmm.
do
You're always
errands.
there.
Yeah, the gyms or like kind of do errands that are nearby.
Yeah.
Or or when I have to like go out like on dates,
Mm-hmm.
um, driving to that location. But honestly, other than like these three things, like I don't really drive that much. Other times, like I just take BART. Anytime I go to San Francisco for like my appointments, I take BART. So a little bit of that money goes into like the Clipper card.
Hmm.
Um,
Are you not scared of Bart? I'm like terrified.
No, so I go to San Francisco like 1 to 2 times a month.
Okay.
And so I have been taking BART for like the last 2 years. I mean, I've taken BART before then too, but I've been consistently taking it like every month or so to San Francisco. I've never had an incident. I'm gonna knock on wood. But yeah, I think usually I just try to be aware and try to carry like a pepper spray.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like okay, I used to take Bart like so often, but I feel like it's like changed a lot in the past few years specifically. Like I don't know why, but I just don't want to go on Bart anymore. It's terrifying.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean BART's also like expensive too. It's
A little
like
bit,
ten
yeah.
dollars for like a round trip to San Francisco, whereas like when I was visiting New York, it was like $2 on the subway, like
Oh,
for a round
really?
trip.
I didn't
Yeah,
realize it was that cheap over there.
yeah, like it's about like two to $3 for a round trip on the subway, whereas yeah, it's very expensive here.
Gotcha.
So yeah, and I also like will not take BART like really, really late at night. I'll
Mm,
try to take it like I usually take it in the morning when like everyone's on it or
right.
kind of in the afternoon where things are not as bad. But
Mm-hmm.
I think nighttime can be a little bit scary. And usually then I will not take it or or usually be like with a friend or something.
Gotcha. Girl, oh my God. Like, when I was in college, and then I would come back for like winter break and stuff, I would take these pole dancing classes in Concord, and they would be like at like 9 o'clock. At night, and like when I would get on the bar, it would literally be like the last train back, and it would be like freaking desolate, and like I would just like straight up like walk alone from the pole dance studio to the BART station in the in the night. And like Concord is like relatively safe, I think, but like thinking
Yeah,
back on that
yeah.
now, like oh my god, that was freaking wild. Like I would not do that again.
Yeah, see, that is a bit scary. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I would not either.
So to go back to the previous question, do you like put away a specific amount of money in your savings accounts, or just like whatever's left over after you spend on like necessities or like any shopping that you do?
Yeah, it's just kind of like what's left over. I mean, from my paycheck, I usually will try to put like 1,500
Mm-hmm.
into the savings account, and then if I can put more, then like I'll put more, but at least like 1,500.
Yeah. I find that the benefit of like a big girl job, something that you and I can both relate to, is that now we don't have to fix our unhealthy shopping habits. We can just afford them. And that's why we don't need budgets.
Yes. Hell yes. Hell yes. I mean, here's the thing, like we make our own money. Like it's up to us how we want to spend it.
Yeah.
If I want to buy like 5 handbags in a span of like an hour, I can do it. Like I can afford to do it and
Yes.
not like broke as fuck, or
Fuck
like
yeah.
not like, have nothing in my savings, but I'm doing it because I can, because I do have savings, because I do have something more in my checking account. So yeah, I'm like, why the hell not? Like I want to have these handbags, then let me have it. I didn't have it growing up. I wasn't able to spend like all this money
Mm-hmm.
growing up, and I have worked so hard, and so have you, right? Like we worked
Yeah.
so hard to get like these big girl jobs, and now like we can spend it.
Yeah.
And I also think like this is the time for me to actually like spend it, because like once I do like move out and have like responsibilities, I'm not going to be able to afford like 5 handbags in a span of an hour. Because I'm actually gonna have to pay rent, I'm gonna have to pay bills, and
Pay
like
for your
if
children
I'm
that you want.
yeah,
Yeah.
if I'm married, then like we have to talk about savings. And if I have kids, then it's gonna go towards them. And like you buy like house furniture, and like just so much that goes into it. So I'm like, you know what? Let's enjoy. Let's enjoy life right now as a single person who lives with our parents.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And then in terms of you said you mentioned you had a 401k. Are you able to you're able to like control how much money goes in that account on a
Yes.
monthly basis, right? How much?
Oh, ooh, I haven't checked my 401k in a while. I actually just signed up like
Oh, cool.
last year, like last summer.
Okay.
And the interesting part is that so my organization at least actually contributes to the 401k. It's
Employer
like when
match.
yeah, they match. So that's really great. But I don't remember how much. I think there's about like two, I think $300 that goes into 401k. And I do have it set up where it takes the taxes.
Mm.
So whatever's in my 401k, it's after taxes.
Oh, okay. So is that like not usually it's like pre-tax money that goes in, right?
Yeah, so there is like I think this is called like Roth 401k. I think it gave me like,
Oh, okay.
yeah, so it gave me like an option whether I want to pay taxes now, or like, in 20, 30 years from now, I can take, right, like the money from the 401k out,
Mm-hmm.
and then you pay taxes then. So I just kind of chose to right now, like
Gotcha.
pay taxes. Yeah, right
Yeah,
now.
I think that's what I would pick too.
Yeah.
That way it hurts less.
Yes, exactly. Then like taking all the money out and then being like, you have to pay 20,000 in
Oh
taxes.
God.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I got an interesting question for you since you're in, you have a political science background, and then also you mentioned earlier that, us making these big girl paychecks, we are deserving of like this exorbitant spending. I want to know what you think about billionaires, because I've heard like both sides of this debate where it's like on one hand, they have a responsibility to like help the help the rest of the world because it's too much money for one person. And then on the other hand, it's like, they earned that money, so they deserve it. So what do you think?
Ooh, that is a very fun question. So I actually used to think like that they have a responsibility to like help the world because they have like so much money, right? Like look
Mm-hmm.
at Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos, um, making just kind of like billions and billions of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, like that is their money. Like they
Right.
created something and they like it was, they're the ones who created something and made that money for themselves. Why should they be entitled to help the world? So I think this is kind of where the government, right? The government has failed the world where they're not like charging these billionaires like the right amount of taxes and giving them like a tax break. There was actually while Trump was president, a bill, I don't remember the name of the bill, but a bill was passed by Mike Pence. Um, or sorry, the bill was passed by the Congress, and I believe it was supported by Mike Pence, the vice
Mm-hmm.
president, when Trump was elected, um, to give like these billionaires, millionaires like a tax break, so they would have to pay even less taxes
Mm-hmm.
uh, than they were paying before. So I really think this is where the government has failed us. I mean, why are these billionaires making so much money? Why are they not like getting charged like so much in taxes? This person is not entitled to pay to help out the world.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, let's think about this, right? Like if I let's say if I created Amazon,
Mm-hmm.
I came up with the idea and I created this millionaire, billionaire, system of 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 Amazon. Yeah. So why should I be entitled to pay or to help out the world?
Yeah.
Like why?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's a government responsibility. I mean, we see homeless people, we see like there's just so much wrong in this world and the government isn't doing anything
Yeah.
while we have money, right? They're spending so much in military and like a lot of these like stupid shit when like what's not being spent on the right places. I mean, look at healthcare. We can have like that single care healthcare that Bernie Sanders has introduced in the Congress, but and we all of us, each one of us pay taxes, yet like nothing. You get like thousands and thousands of dollars, like if you go to the hospital.
Yeah.
Uh,
Definitely.
and it fucking sucks. Our government sucks.
Yeah. Yeah. You make some really, really good points. Like, I think it's easy to scapegoat billionaires just because they're like, one person. In the case of like Jeff Bezos, he gets a lot of shit.
Yeah.
And it's like easy to blame him. Like, why aren't you helping Bezos? Like, you suck. You have so much money, and like you're not even doing all this stuff. But like, really, like, is it his responsibility? Was it his responsibility in the first place? It's the government that failed us severely.
Yeah, and you see like these millionaire billionaires like donating money. They don't have to donate,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like if I have made some donations, like it doesn't matter if I'm making $1 million donation, if I'm making like a $20 donation, it's up to me. It's my choice. Like, right? So this person is choosing to like make a donation. Now, let's say like obviously like Jeff Bezos, like Elon Musk, right? Sometimes they're forced to
Mm-hmm.
make a donation to in quotes, like to look good,
Mm-hmm.
to have an image. So I think there might be a little bit of a what's the word like this self-image that they're trying to create
Like
in the
their
public.
reputation. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But like at the end of the day, this person does not have to donate.
Yeah.
um
Yeah.
so yeah, as a political science major,
That's your opinion.
and public administration major, this government has failed us. But I really do think that the world is changing. Like we're getting rid of like those conservative, close-minded folks out of the Congress,
Mm-hmm.
and even like in our local elections, or state elections, we're getting rid of them. So I really do think that it's getting better.
Yeah. Fingers crossed. But going back to like earlier, like the middle class really gets ass fucked with taxes. Like we get taxed so fucking much. And like some billionaires like don't even pay like the proportionate amount.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? I would completely be okay with getting this much tax
Mm-hmm.
if everyone had healthcare, if everyone had like those benefits, then it
Mm-hmm.
would kind of balance
Makes
out,
sense.
right?
Yeah.
With the money that you're making. So now you don't have to spend any money, no money on healthcare. You don't have to spend any money on like these. other items, right? Like in countries like France, Canada, they have that healthcare.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a good balance between how much you're making and like the benefits that you're getting. So I would completely understand if like I was getting taxed and it was actually coming back to me in some sort of way,
Mm-hmm.
but it's like it just kind of feels like for us that we're getting taxed, but where the fuck is this money going? Like where
Oh,
is
well,
it?
you know, on the 238 highway, they finally fixed those goddamn potholes and like I was like
That's where millions of dollars
I was like
went.
driving over those the other day and I was like, "Ah, our tax dollars at work finally. Like I know where they go now."
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, but like this year I had to I'm like working on my taxes right now and like I owe like $2,000 because I have two jobs and like I guess I didn't like fill out the tax forms at my second job um, appropriately where you know it would withhold more. So
Mhm.
now I'm like now I have to pay all this money and I'm like okay, what is the literal point of like working two jobs if they end up taking this much from me at the end of the day? Because I have to slave away and like work more than 40 hours a week just to pay this much in taxes. It's just like something doesn't add up here. Something doesn't add up.
Yeah, exactly. It's just it's the system. It's just so wrong. And there have been like so many good people trying to like change it, but then it's the Congress, right? At the end of the day, they're the ones making the decision. And yeah, it's I don't know, it's a cycle. It's like someone introduces a bill, it gets passed in the House, let's say, then it gets introduced in the Congress, it doesn't get passed. A couple months later, another bill is introduced, maybe gets passed in the House again, doesn't get passed in Congress. And it's just like a cycle, 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 cycle.
Yeah.
Not only with this, but like a lot of bills that like I have been following for like the last 10 years that just keeps getting introduced that will like really help the communities, but
Mm-hmm.
no, just a lot of these people who are in the Congress are there for money because they're getting money from like these big companies to vote no on bills. Like look at gun laws.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm so tired of it. Like we have talked about like, introducing a passing a gun law in the US, and it has been introduced in Congress multiple times, but you have these congressmen who are getting money from
Mm-hmm.
like these companies and they won't know.
Yeah.
And so nothing happens. So I don't know. I always feel like this, right? The government is supposed to be working for us. It's not the other way around.
Yeah.
They are here because of us. We voted you in. You're supposed to be doing what we want. You're
Mm-hmm.
supposed to be working for us instead of like the other way around.
Yeah.
And I feel like because I know so much about the government and because I've studied the government, I can say this, but for like an average person, I don't think they think that way anymore, where they're like, well, this council member or this like senator is supposed to be, doing what the community says.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so it really sucks.
Yeah. Definitely. Okay, so question number 6. Have you ever regretted spending money on something?
Yeah, there's stupid stuff. Like sometimes I'll buy like random stuff on Amazon or like, some clothes especially. Like I said, I'm very like bougie when it comes to clothes.
Mm-hmm.
I think I've always like had this mindset of like quality versus quantity.
Right.
So I'd rather buy like this $100 really good quality jeans and be able to wear it like multiple times, like over the course of like 6 months, and buy like these $40 jeans and have me last like for a month or something. So I've always considered, or I've always had that mindset. So, but I have made some rational decisions where I've bought something where I thought was cute and then like I only wear it like once.
Yeah.
Um, so now actually when I do go shopping, I try to be smart where I ask myself, how many times do you think you're gonna wear this?
Cost
And
per
if the
wear.
answer, yeah, yeah. So if I tell myself, yeah, I can actually wear this like multiple times on daily basis, then yeah, you should get it. Um,
Yeah.
so and I always try to invest in kind of like basic clothes where you can always style out with like jewelry or like makeup and heels and handbags. Cause I feel like that's actually one thing I've learned in this past like 2 years. Go for the basics
Mm-hmm.
because you can style. you can style them as much as you want. You can make it either formal or you can make it casual or you can make it like something like cute and fun, but then also like hot and sexy.
Uh-huh.
Uh, Start with the basics and you can add on or take off like jewelry, makeup, handbag, heels, or like flats. So
Yeah.
try to be more reasonable now. And yeah, I think there's just some other stuff I bought like the last couple of years, like water bottles that I haven't used. Um,
Just like
yeah,
random
just
stuff.
yeah, just kind of like random stuff.
Um, I have a friend who will like not let me use the word basic to to describe like what you're trying to describe. Like he will always be like classic, not basic.
Oh, true.
Classic and timeless and elegant.
That is true. You told me those words as well. Actually, I'm gonna start using that. Timeless, classic and timeless.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because basic could be like, oh, you're basic. Like that's
Oh,
boring.
God. Yeah, no, that is very true. I'm gonna start using classic and timeless. And
Hell yeah.
it does a very it does last like a very long time if
Yeah.
you have like a good fashion sense, I would say. And I
Yeah,
think I have a decent fashion sense.
definitely.
Um, where you can kind of like figure out how I can dress this up or I can
Mm-hmm.
like make it more casual.
Mm-hmm, definitely. And like the whole quality over quantity mindset, like I feel like I've been adopting that more recently. Like I've definitely been guilty of like buying a lot of fast fashion pieces, especially when I was younger. But now it's like I want to invest in like, you know, good quality clothes that are also like classics, you know? But the problem is that I want quality and quantity. So it just gets fucking
Don't we all?
expensive.
Don't we all? I
Yeah.
know. I felt that way about gym. Like with the gym clothes, I used to buy like Kicks or like Nike and stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
then the leggings would go bad in like a couple like months. But ever since like I got like mine from Lululemon or like this really good brands like Gymshark and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
like okay, quality versus quantity.
Yeah, and then you just
And
want
think
like a
and
bunch of them.
yeah, and thank you for introducing me into that world, the gym clothes world.
You're welcome, and I'm sorry as well for your wallet.
Yeah.
Question number 7. What was the biggest thing you spent money on lately? What was the biggest thing you've ever spent money on?
Ooh. So the biggest thing that I've ever spent money on is laser, like hair laser removal.
Okay.
Um, so I think this year I spent like about like 4,000 in like
Oh my god.
getting like those packages.
Uh huh.
And then last year I spent around the same, about the same. So I think it's been what, like 8,000, 7 to 8,000 around that. But the thing is, like these packages they last you like for a whole year, and I'm doing like whole full body now. Um, so it's actually affordable from the other places that I looked up. So I've been doing it for like about 2 years. And it definitely has been like a really, really, really good investment. Um, I think overall, like, right, like I have the money and so I can invest in this because I don't want to, because my time is valuable. Like
Mm-hmm.
if I didn't do laser, then it's like me putting in like hours and hours and hours of time, like in the shower, shaving or like
Mm-hmm.
something else. So I think it is kind of like an investment. And then I've spent some money on facials.
Mm-hmm.
I think like about $2,000 to $3,000. It has made like a huge, huge difference like in my skin. Like my skin has
Really?
gotten, yes. And I like take medication like for my skin, and that literally like hasn't done anything. And I use like a lot of these expensive products, but the products can only do so much. And if your skin has like that dead skin, that dirt, then the products is kind of going to waste because they're not getting like deep into your skin to actually do the work. So I've invested in like getting like good facials. The third one, of course, the self investment in getting like a personal trainer.
That's
Um,
me.
yeah. So that's been like the third investment that I've made like this year. So, or sorry, last year in the last 2 years. Um,
Yeah.
so that's been very, very, very like a good self-investment that I've made, mentally, physically, and I think it's been like really good, like on my diet as well. Not just like going to the gym, but like actually making like lifestyle changes and like focusing on like what I eat. Um, and yeah, just kind of having that space for myself too, like mentally, like something like of my own after work. So it's been life changing.
Yeah, definitely. I love how all of those things are like self-care type of
Yeah.
things.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So who says money doesn't buy happiness? It actually does. It has given me a glowy skin. It has gotten rid of my South Asian body hair, and it has made me skinnier and better looking. So
Self-care.
yes,
Money makes you hot.
yes. Okay, that is actually true. Money makes you
Yeah,
hot.
definitely.
Anyone can be hotter if they have the money. That is, I swear to God, that is true.
Yeah, exactly. Like you always see those like edits of like celebrities where it's like, "You're not ugly, you're just poor," and it's like Kylie
Yes.
Jenner like after her plastic surgery.
Oh my gosh. Yes, exactly. Exactly. That is so true.
Yeah. So just for the audience, like, how much money did you spend on each one of those items?
Okay, so like the laser, like I said, about like 7 to 8 thousand so far, and I might need to purchase like more packages in the future. So like overall, it could be like maybe 10,000.
10,000
Um,
on all three combined.
sorry, no, 10,000 just on laser.
Ah, okay, yeah.
You know. And then for the facial, like 2 to 3 thousand, so 10, 11, 12, 13,000. And then for the gym, I think it was like 2,000 something.
Hmm.
So I think like it would be about 15 to 16,000. Holy crap. Okay. That sounds bad. But I have to say it's see, these are the type of things that I can spend money on because
Yeah.
I live with my parents. And it also is the only time where I feel like I can do this. Like I can't really like spend this type of money like
In the future.
5 years from now because my priorities are gonna change. I know that.
Yeah.
Um,
Like, who else are you going to spend this money on right now? Like, you deserve it. Like,
yeah.
go off, do it.
Exactly. And also like it's also like time consuming, right? Like
Hmm.
focusing on gym, going to the gym, like having a session with you, right? It's energy and like time that I have to take out of my day to do this. And same
Hmm.
with like laser and facials, which is like in San Francisco. So I actually have to take time out of work to go there and get this done. And
Hmm.
I am very lucky to have like this flexible job where like I can do this stuff, like go for these appointments and not like have anyone question it or be like, well, are you really taking work to get like a freaking facial? Yeah, so I think I am also like very lucky. Or also I'm in a time where like I can spend like, that time and energy going to these places.
Yeah,
Whereas
definitely.
maybe in the future I can't because I live far away from the Bay Area, or like I have
Yeah.
a job that doesn't allow me to be as flexible, or I have kids, or like, stuff like that.
No, like, imagine if, you had kids to support right now,
Oh God.
or like even a pet. Like, that would be a lot.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So, uh,
Yeah.
yeah,
Spend it all on yourself, girl. You deserve
yeah,
it.
exactly.
Okay, next question. Do you wish you made more money?
Yeah, I mean, I think who doesn't? Who doesn't? I
Yeah.
mean, right? Like, even if you look at the millionaires, they're like, yeah, I wish we could make more and more and more money. I think, yeah, I do wish I could make more money. And if I did have that money, I would be able to like buy a house in the Bay Area because I really do
Mm-hmm.
love living here. I think everyone loves living in the Bay Area, but everyone's moving out because of how expensive it is.
Yeah.
But like the weather is the greatest. You have so much diversity. You have like everything nearby you. San Francisco, you have like Tahoe a couple hours away, you have LA a couple hours away as well. Like everything is like accessible
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
if I did have it, I would definitely like
Buy a
buy
house
a
here.
house here and like put like my roots in.
Yeah. A lot of people buy like houses up in Sacramento, but I know that's like pretty far from like the centralized Bay Area area. but like the houses in Sacramento are like I think they're like less than half a million for like huge like 4 bedrooms. Like I don't know, I could be wrong, but I think that's what my therapist said.
Yeah, no, that's true. And I think before, like a lot of people were moving to like Tracy, but like even Tracy is getting like very expensive
Mm-hmm.
now, because what people did was move to Tracy. And like my eyebrow lady, she actually lives in Tracy and commutes from there like every single day to come
Holy
here.
shit.
Yeah, so a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people like commute from Tracy and stuff. And now I think a lot more people are moving to Sac, but God, I hate the heat. Like I cannot. Like I've lived in the Bay Area like my whole life. Like I've grown up here, so I am very you could say I'm very spoiled with the weather and like having like access to everything.
Yeah, for sure. Like I feel like California weather makes us such babies when we go other
Oh
places because
yes,
it's just
yes.
like, ew, what is this non-California
Oh
weather?
God,
Like snow? What the fuck? Like
yeah, I lived in DC in 2019, like in the summer for like 3 months. Oh, I hated it so much. Like I could not wait to get home. It was so hot. It was so humid. I had never experienced rain in summer. Like it was so
really?
disgusting. Yeah, it
Oh
would
my
be
god.
hot, like the sun would be out, then it would start raining, and then it would
Ew.
stop, and then you could smell that like disgusting like
Like
humidity.
asphalt.
Yeah. So it was, yeah, I was
Yeah.
missing home a lot.
Oh my god. I think I've only experienced that in California like once and it was weird. It was weird as heck.
Yeah.
Yeah. That like actually sounds kind of tropical a little bit. Like I know it happened when I was in the Bahamas and the sun was out and it was raining. And then you could like
Oh,
smell it,
yeah, that's
smell
a
stuff in the air.
great
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
But yeah, no, I love it here. And I think the biggest thing is for everyone is just kind of like being able to buy a house.
Buy a
Um,
house. Yeah.
yeah, but
Bare minimum.
yeah, and it's just like it's so hard. Like now,
I know.
first of all, like not even that the houses are expensive, but if you do have the money, the houses are getting sold within like 1 second. Like whatever
Yeah.
the house is being listed for, you have to like pay like an overprice of like 100K more or something because it's so competitive
Yeah.
out
Over
there.
asking.
So
It's
it's
ridiculous.
tough, and oftentimes I do think about like, whether I can afford to live here in a couple of years. And I think the answer I always come at is like, no. Unless somehow I win a lottery and like become a billionaire, I don't think I can afford to live here. And I feel like it's kind of like you either work really, really hard, but then like you're struggling to make rent, but then
Mm-hmm.
you get to have the best weather, you still have access to everything, right? Like you get to experience all of these great things. Or you move to like a different state or like out in the valley where you have a house, you're living comfortably, but then you don't get to experience like or have like a lot of these things. So I think you kind of just have to choose what's most important to you. Is it like living comfortably but not having access to all of these things, but or is it like having access to like the greatest weather and like um
Yeah.
all of the malls and like diversity, etc., but then like you're barely making like you're living paycheck to paycheck or like barely being able to
That would
put anything
suck.
in savings.
Yeah. I feel like the weather has been like ass lately though. Like it's been
Oh,
raining.
and I don't know if you've driven by like to Fremont, and maybe I'll send you a picture later,
It's
but like
snowing
you
on the
could see the
mountains.
snow on the mountains.
It's
Um,
freaking wild.
it was actually really pretty. I was like, who needs snow? But yeah, it's been very cold lately.
Yeah, not a big fan, but yeah, it sucks that we have to choose because as like Bay Area like natives, now it's like can we even live where we grew up in a few years? And it's just like so sad to think about a little bit.
Yeah, and I think it's just being taken over with like people in the tech industry.
Hmm.
Because right, like I think most majority of them make like a really good amount of money, like 300K, 200K, where they can afford to live here, and then all of us are getting like pushed out. Um, yeah, I know, and my parents weren't really the ones who like bought a house here like back when we were little, which definitely would have helped a lot, but even just kind of paying rent, it's just so expensive, and then you're just like, is it really worth it to pay rent, or should I move somewhere and like buy a house and invest in that?
Yeah, definitely. Like if you look at like housing prices like in other states, it's like shocking. Like I think just like a few years ago, I think like a studio apartment or like a one bedroom apartment in Tennessee was like less than $1,000. And I was like, what the hell?
Yeah. And that same thing, like I remember like last year or like during the pandemic, this one like it was like a studio or like a really, really small house, like a really small house in Fremont that was sold for like $2 million.
Like a closet.
Yeah, like a box, like a box with
Like
like
Harry
clothes.
Potter's
Yeah.
cupboard under the stairs.
Mm-hmm.
$2 million.
Yeah. All of these like rich people, they understand like the value, so that they'll buy like a couple of houses and then maybe like fix them up and then sell them off for even like a higher price. And the thing is that like prices are not gonna go down in the Bay Area. They're just not, like maybe by $1 or two, like overall like a little bit down, but it's not gonna be significant. Like they're just going up and up and up and up. So people are smart investing like in real estate. That's how you can make a lot of money, investment in real estate.
Did you also read Rich Dad Poor Dad?
No.
I read that book recently, and like Robert Kiyosaki, who wrote that book, was like invest in real estate, and like I feel like everybody preaches that, and like it's just kind of funny,
Mm,
but true.
yeah, exactly.
You win $5 million. What would you do with it?
I think the first thing I would do with this is buy my parents a house and make sure that like they're taken care of, that they can like my dad never has to work again and that they can live comfortably like the rest of their time. And I think that would kind of like take this stress and like a little bit of that stress off me as well. Um, but I would buy them a house, make sure like they're taken care of comfortably, and then I would buy myself a house in the Bay Area so I can like live by myself.
Girl,
Uh,
that's probably like 80% of
yeah,
of the $5 million.
I know. And probably only get like a small, like maybe an apartment or something or a townhouse.
Oh, like so real estate,
Yeah.
real estate for sure.
Yeah, and then like, I can invest in like real estate where I've noticed like a lot of people will buy actually houses out of the state that they live in or like somewhere in the valley or something, and then like, you just give it out for rent and then you're kind of set for
Hmm.
life. You're getting rent um until you sell that house. So I think that so many people are investing in real estate, but you just have to be like smart about it and I guess read up a lot on it.
Yeah, definitely. I think real estate is like the way to go. That's a good answer.
Yeah. And the other money that I would spend would be on cats. I would have a bunch of cats. And like my cats will like live like royalty. Like I'll send them to like the grooming place like every week. And like, yeah, they'll live like
Hell
a
yeah.
very fancy life. And then I would buy like some luxury stuff for myself, of course. Like a
Shopping, of
and
course.
okay, another thing that I've learned is that investing in Chanel and like Birkin, these high luxury bags, is an investment.
Is it?
Yes, because like the Chanel bags are so like limited that like people will pay like whatever price to try to get their hands on it, and the prices are continue to go up and up and up. So I was reading like this article that was talking about like how you should invest in like handbags, like Chanel or Birkin,
Holy
because
shit.
those prices are gonna go higher and higher. So it's actually a pretty good investment. So I'm like, okay, I get both handbag, and if I ever need to like sell them off, like it'll be good. I'll be set.
Yeah. I never actually thought about it like that because like I'm not one for like luxury brands. Like the name brands don't really mean much to me. To the point like I don't want to shell out like a thousand
Yeah.
dollars for like one thing. But like I didn't realize that like they were investments, and now that I think about it, like people have said that before. It's just it's kind of crazy because like the fashion industry has like a huge chokehold
Oh, yeah.
on like everyone's on finance in general. So that's really cool.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not there yet. I'm not up till Chanel, but maybe one day when I make enough. Um,
Yeah, that's cool.
yeah, so it's a bit of a investment. So I think those couple of things were I mean, I don't know if all of this would fit in the 5 million. I think after the two houses, I might be done. I might be done. It might be done and over. Probably if I want them in the Bay Area.
Yes, perhaps. What is your next financial goal? That's question number 10.
So is that more of like how to move up my salary?
I guess like what are you trying to buy next?
Oh,
What are you saving up for?
so the next financial goal will be a car.
Mm, okay.
I actually told myself I would buy a new car once I finish my master's because my money was going towards tuition at that time.
Mm-hmm. And you have your master's now.
Yeah. So my car, I bought this car like 7, 8 years ago for like 4,700. And now there's just stuff wrong with it. I don't know, any day it could like break down and end.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Just
thought,
die.
yeah. So I was like, okay, the next thing should be like a decent car. And I've never really had like a decent, like a not like a new car, but like kind of new. I've never had one.
Mm-hmm.
If I was have,
One with the screen.
oh my gosh, yes, yeah.
That would be nice.
Oh, I know. But I also like hit the car a lot of times. So,
What?
I'm not like the best driver. I've hit the curb like 500 times. So that's a good part
Oh.
about old cars. Like you don't have to give a shit. Like you can hit as much as you want. Um, but yeah, I think my next investment or like my next big purchase would most likely be a car. And then I am saving up for like a house in the future.
Would you be one of those people that like puts down like 20%, or would you want like a smaller down payment?
I actually haven't read up on that at all, like if whether like it's good to put down more or less. I mean, in my mind, it's always like more, so then you don't have to pay like a lot of monthly payments.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's something like I would have to do a lot of research on and buy a house. And maybe at that time, I would have a partner as well
Mm-hmm.
to do it, or maybe not. I don't know. It's kind of looking like I may not at this point.
You hear that, listeners? Alina is single. She is looking for a tall man specifically,
Yeah, so
preferably very, very handsome.
you have to be at least 6 feet. And please do
Oh
not,
my god.
please do not add like 2 extra inches. Like, please be honest about it. Um,
That's
so
why you say 6'2".
yeah, that's
That's
true.
why you say six
Six
two,
two. That is true.
so that even if they do lie, they're at least six
At
feet.
least
That's
6 feet.
hilarious.
That is very true. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I think those will be like the next big purchases.
Yeah, they're very cool. Question number 11. What do you allow yourself to spend a lot of money on? I think we covered this a bit. So, self-care, the facials, the laser, and the gym.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think in terms of like every single day, I think it's just kind of on food. So ever
Mm-hmm.
since like I started gym with you, um,
Uh-huh.
it's been like adding like food that I would have never had before. Like
Like
on a daily,
kombucha.
yeah, like on a daily basis. So like every single day now I have kombucha. Every single day I have Greek yogurt. Every single day I have peanuts. Every single day I have chicken.
Mm-hmm.
So and then like I have to go to Trader Joe's and buy like some food box what do you call it? Like food
Frozen foods.
frozen food because I can only cook once a day because during like the afternoon I don't have time, so I can just
Yeah.
easily like it, just warm it up and eat. And I do try to pick like very healthy items, kind of like a mixture of carbs, fat, and veggies.
Protein.
Yeah, oh sorry, protein. Yes, very big on protein. Um, so like these are the type of things that I didn't spend money on before because I would just eat what my mom cooked. And
Yeah.
by the way, on a side note, like South Asian food is like oily as fuck. Like no matter
Mm-hmm.
how like healthy or like vegetables my mom made, there's so much oil that it's not even healthy anymore. It is oily as fuck. So now like I cook everything myself or like I come up with like a food plan, either like a the night before or the morning of to make sure that I get like my 100 grams of protein and that I stay within like the calorie deficit. But yeah, that involves like planning, that involves like figuring out like what foods to buy, and that also involves like eating somewhat of the same foods like every day, like protein powder, Greek yogurt, kombucha, creatine. So
Yeah, you can't skimp when it comes to your health. I mean, but in terms of like oily food being unhealthy, that's not necessarily always true. I mean, I guess like deep fried shit, like obviously that's like pretty unhealthy, you know, like if you get fries
yeah.
and like onion rings or whatever. But in terms of like oil in your food, like oil isn't bad, you know, like a lot of people are like really scared of like fat and like back in the 2010s and like the early 2000s, like everyone was like so afraid of fat and like they were just like, oh, I'm gonna get this fat free yogurt.
Mm,
But you actually need fat. I mean, as long as it's like you know, moderate amounts that
yeah.
you like get into your system, like you need healthy unsaturated fats. And you know what has a lot of fats is avocados and salmon, and you need that to like regulate your hormones. And so it's not like you should like totally avoid oil, like especially if it's like olive oil or like a healthy unsaturated oil like that. Like it's not necessarily bad. I mean, as long as you're not like consuming it in excess.
Yeah, definitely. Trying to meet like my fats goal. I would say like my parents used to use, you're gonna hate this, canola oil before I for
Ah!
yes, before, and this is like my dad with their health problems, my mom with like who's diabetic, they would just use canola
Mm-hmm.
oil. And like
Mm-hmm.
I had to like force my parents. I'm like, do not use this, please. So like I got them on olive oil. So that's progress.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Perfect.
but I think with the amount of oil that they put, I would not beat my calorie deficit. So,
Oh my god, yeah. It's also really hard to track like ethnic foods,
yes.
and that's like the reason I only pretty much eat white people food now at home at least. Like I only go out for Asian food like when I need a break, but like on a daily basis, I just like bake chicken breasts because it's like easy to track on the on MyFitnessPal, the calorie tracking app. Because like, what am I supposed to do if I have like a ethnic Chinese dish in front of me and there's like 10,000 ingredients? Like, what am I
Oh,
supposed to do? Like, how am I supposed to track this? How am I supposed to know how many calories this is? It's
I,
impossible.
I feel the same way. Like, unless you're like cooking like ethnic food and then like you track everything, sure. But like I've made chicken tikka masala like by tracking everything and trying to like make it a little bit like a healthier version or like a low
Mm-hmm.
carb version. But like the food that my mom cooks every day, like she's not gonna track it. And so like I
Mm-hmm.
could be eating like 1,000 calories just from like this one meal and like not know, or maybe I'm eating like 300 calories, but like I don't know that. So yeah,
Yeah,
it's like
definitely.
it's I do have like my cheat days sometimes, like where I'll eat her food, but like
Mm-hmm.
and I think it just kind of goes back to like having a lifestyle, like between like eating, well, I guess having a lifestyle where like when I say healthy food, it doesn't mean like I can't eat a donut or like pizza or like
Mm-hmm.
fries.
Balance.
I think
Mm-hmm.
even like back then, right, there used to be this misconception about like being healthy means like greens and like salads and stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that. But you can like eat,
Just like fucking starving
yeah, and you
yourself.
can eat like you can make fries at home, you can make bake pizza at home, or like go out and have pizza or like noodles, or like you can have like
Mm-hmm.
all of these desserts and stuff. But just eat like in a moderate amount, and not like obviously binge eat, which is something I used to do. So yeah,
Yeah, it's all about
balance.
in
Yes,
moderation and the
yes.
amounts. I love how we like turn this into a fitness conversation. What are you really cheap with?
Honestly, nothing.
Nothing.
I mean, what am I cheap with? I mean, gas sucks, but like every time I just hate getting gas. So like every time I do go get gas,
Yeah.
I fill up the whole tank. So I guess
Mm-hmm.
I'm not exactly cheap at that, but I guess nothing. I mean, nothing I can think of. Uh,
That that is the life. That
for
is the
now,
life.
for now.
What would you do with your life if money was not an issue?
I would travel, of course.
Where?
I would travel like I think it's like a life goal of mine where I want to visit like all the national parks in the US. So I would try to, go to all of them. Which would be something interesting about me. Like, hey, I visited all of the national parks in the United
Hell
States.
yeah. Uh-huh.
So I would travel and then I would only work part-time. So switch my whole
You would still work?
Oh yeah, I would still work. Work gives me like this structure and like it makes me a better person. It
Oh,
grounds me. I
you're
think
so
especially
wholesome. What the fuck?
well because like a lot of the people like my work involves with like the community and so I get to
Yeah.
like actually be on the ground and like hear from folks like what's lacking and like why we need to do like this advocacy and community organizing work. Why are we um advocating for tenant protections because like so many people like regular people go through like just so much harassment from their landlord and like barely trying to make like meet ends and right and I have the same life. I mean, even if I become rich, I think the values that I have are not going to change because that's just the way I grew up. So working, it's like a huge part of my life. I mean, that's what I've spent so much money, time, energy, effort on so I could get like have a good career. And so
Yeah.
I would go to part-time. Um and then I would yeah, I think those were it. And then typical stuff like house, clothes, more cats. Um
Cats, of course.
yeah, I would spend it on that.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love to hear that you'd be doing pretty much like exactly what you're currently doing, job wise, and then, there'd just be a little more time for yourself,
Yeah.
and like to explore and do the things that you want to do. I love that.
Mhm.
Yay! Okay, well, last question. What do you wish you could tell your younger self about money?
I would say like be patient. I mean, growing up and like not having any money, like I remember, and like it's not like I used to get pocket money or anything like that. Like if I wanted something, I would have to
Hmm.
ask my dad, and I think even like being so little, like I had to grow up quickly. Where like someone knocks on your door and then like your mom calls like you like a 10-year-old and be like talk to this
Translate.
translate. So like I had
Yeah.
to grow up quickly and I've also had this my I've also known like, we have money problems and so I was very aware of it growing up. So I think there was a little bit of that guilt of like asking like money to like even buy like Pop Tart at school. Um so
Yeah.
I think I would tell myself be patient, like at some point I am gonna make like money and have this lifestyle that I have now, but be patient and just work hard because I have had to work hard. I mean, when I was doing my undergrad in my last year, I was doing school full time. I had an internship. I had like two jobs. And on top of that, I was applying for an internship in DC, which meant like,
Hmm.
which was a lot of work doing applications and phone interviews. So I've done a lot of internships, work hard to make connections, and so, sacrificed my summer so I can add something to my resume. Um, so I could like have it a little bit easier once I get older, right? Because
Yeah.
connections is everyone. Sorry, connections is everything to you for you listeners. Um, without
That sucks for the antisocial people.
Yeah, connect. I swear to God, I would not have gotten this job and the job I had previously if it wasn't for connection. Word of mouth, like when someone is hiring, it's like everything. Like
Yeah.
if you can have like a make good impression on people and like show that you're work like a hard worker, people will recommend you, people will praise you, and like the word will get around very quickly. So I've always tried to like maintain like a very like a good um good have like a good work ethic, and now like I even hear from people like, Alina, you're doing great, and like a lot of good stuff about me, but that right involves a lot of like hard
Connections
yeah
and the work.
connections, hard work.
Hmm.
So I would tell myself just be patient and work hard because in the end things will work out. I kind of feel like I have to give this advice to myself for like dating. Like things
Hmm.
will work out, things will, you know, happen. So like just be patient and hopefully in 5 years I will be making even more money and living like in my own house or something.
Yeah, definitely. Well, that was the last question of on my list. Thank you so much, Alina, for talking about this with me and jumping on my podcast. Like, I feel like this was a really good, interesting conversation, and I got to know you so much better, and I loved it.
Yeah, no, thank you for inviting me. This was really, really fun. And I'm glad that, like, we're having this conversation because I feel like a lot of people either feel like really shy or like are a little bit like secretive, maybe like or not
Hmm.
secretive, but like a little bit, um,
It's secretive, I guess. That sounds appropriate.
yeah, secretive or like maybe scared to talk
Yeah.
about money. But I mean, I don't know. I feel like transparency is, I am seeing it more and more now, even like with jobs, like people will put out like the pay scale
Oh,
for a
they're
job.
they're
So they're,
required to now by law. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, so I think it's good, and I hope like someone can learn from this. Like maybe if someone's like younger and going through something, or like in their undergrad, like maybe this would be helpful.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thanks, Alina, and thanks everyone for listening. We'll catch you in the next one. Bye.
Bye.